It's been a long minute. All Four Sports, Mikey B. Where my homies? Yeah, we in here. Yeah, we've been working a lot because, the economy's been great. But I'm still watching the sports. I just haven't been commenting, but I got to start the comment here. The NBA season brings about one great thing, and it's a great thing about just a lot of unknowns, and that's what makes it fun, man. It's like, no offense. It's like, meeting a girl the first night. And, it's just exciting. She's new. It's fresh. NBA's fresh. It's new. There's always something new that could happen. Gotta love it. Off works. I'm going to jump into it. If you're looking at trades, usually the first starting point, you see my roster button right here. I'm in the Eastern Conference. You see who's on top. You know who I called to be on top on the East? They're on top. Milwaukee Bucks, they're there. However, do they need to make any moves? Nah, I'm going to skip them. Does Miami need to make any moves? Yeah. They could use some things, but I don't know if they can afford it. I still want a center in place of Miami. I still want some things in place to help out Mr. Jimmy Butler, even though Tyler, my hero, is having a great season. Let me jump down. Does Philadelphia need help? Yeah, they need a point guard. Let's keep those guys in mind. Philadelphia needs a point guard. No doubt about it. Defensively, they are inclined. If they can get another legitimate shooting guard, maybe that's somewhere they go, but I think they need some help shooting. I think they need some help at the point guard position. I'm going to jump down. Boston looking really nice. Everybody's saying Boston need a big man. Everybody talking about Boston needs a big man. I don't know, man. I don't know, my home. I don't know if they need a big man. Because Taco Fall is sitting there. Yeah, I said it, Taco Fall. Yeah, I know, an unproven rookie out of UCF. I get it. Let me keep going down. Toronto, do they need any help? No, I think they should tank and rebuild, but hey, they can't stop, won't stop. They like Kawhi, what? Like what you saying, Kawhi? Indiana, I don't know what they're doing. I mean, this is a team that should tank. I'm going to skip down. Brooklyn, Kyrie situation. The Magic definitely need a point guard. They definitely need another legitimate star coming back. But remember, Vujacic has been out. They're trying to survive without him. Everyone's saying they're moving the ball better. However, that's an all-star that gives you almost a double-double every night, and they're not getting it from anybody else. They need some help. Charlotte, hey, surprise team of the year, but they're another team that I ask, what the hell are you doing trying to win? Okay, Detroit Pistons, hey, could that be a spot? Are they tired of barely making the playoffs every year with the unhealthy Blake Griffin? Okay, Bulls are trying to rebuild. So now why am I going through this long progression? I'm going to tell you, right now, from 12 to 15 are the guys that you can grab to put on your team to try to make something special happen, to try to make that run, right? To try to go for a championship. If you're in the top 10 right now, even though it's still very early in the season, and in the East, it's Wild Wild West because they're kind of sorry, right? You got the 7th team with a 13-11 record. That's the Brooklyn Nets. The Orlando Magic should be doing better even without Vujacic, but they're not. And then they got the Detroit Pistons that are trying to hunt themselves into a playoff run. Chicago creeping. So you got to look at Washington, Atlanta, Cleveland, and New York as possible areas of total mayhem where you can possibly pull a disgruntled star player or role player who wants to get a championship run in his prime years or is in the twilight zone. You want to take a look at those things. You want to get that thing rolling. I'm going to start off with the Knicks and who you can pull. And I'm not going to go east to west and where they should go. I'm just giving you the rundown. I kind of went quickly who I think the teams need. There's a guy on the Knicks right now. There's a couple guys. If I'm the Knicks and if I'm going to blow up, if I'm really going to restart and truly get some high draft picks instead of doing one of the dumbest things they've ever done is go ahead and get a bunch of mid-level vets and think you're going to get to the playoffs. Everybody and their mother cussed these guys out. Everybody. Everybody knew what was going to happen with this team. And it happened. It happened straight up. It happened. So, the Knicks, current roster. RJ Barrett, untouchable. Ignas Brazdeikis, I think they keep him. I think he's kind of untouchable because no one really wants him or knows about him. But I think he could be valuable if he got minutes with another team. Reggie Bullock really hasn't played that much. Damian Dotson, really nice player, but still a young player. Wayne Ellington, haven't seen him that much. Taj Gibson, a meaningful power forward who they grabbed for some assurance inside. Still a steady player. Still somebody that I think you should add if you need him. Kevin Knox, is he available? With the glutton of power forward mixes on this team, is he an asset that you can move to get some draft picks if you don't believe in Kevin Knox? If you want to restart, Marcus Morris Sr. is having an incredible season, but is he hurting the stunting the growth of Kevin Knox and RJ Barrett being the star of that team? Those are stuff you got to talk about. Okay, I'm going to keep going down. Frank Ntilikina, Elfrid Payton, Dennis Smith Jr. There's a trio of point guards which I had in my head scratching. I'm going to be honest. I'm surprised at Frank Ntilikina. I'm surprised about the fans' clamor for this kid. He's a great bench role player. Okay. He's a big defensive guard. Could he be like a Pat Beverly? Possibly. Okay. That's why I see his peak at a Pat Beverly with a little bit more handles and vision. That's at his peak. All right. And that's great for the NBA if he can become a strong defensive guard. That's important. However, when you're trying to rebuild and get championships and you got the athleticism of a Dennis Smith Jr. available to you and you're not utilizing it, that's the first guy. Let's talk about Dennis Smith Jr. is my guy on this team. There should be a lot of teams taking a look at Dennis Smith Jr. right now. There's no reason in hell. I know he's going through some issues, guys. Remember, I think his stepmom just died. He's going through a lot of family issues. You may not see the real Dennis Smith Jr. until about mid-season. Okay? March. We may not see it till March, after All-Star break. But Dennis Smith Jr. is dealing with some things. He's not playing. His value is kind of low right now. A couple horrible games. But Dennis Smith Jr., I know you, my man. I know basketball, my man. I know you're a gem. I know you're a top 10 point guard in the league. I know that. Does everyone else know that? Philadelphia, hey, if I were you, relying on Ben Simmons all day is not smart. Philly, take a look at Dennis Smith Jr. I said I wouldn't name teams, but in this case I will. Any team looking for a point guard right now, bona fide point guard, and Philadelphia is the likely candidate. Okay, even though they got Trey Burke there, off the bench, a lineup of Ben Simmons, at the point forward position for real will be awesome. I do like what they have already, but if I could get Dennis Smith Jr. and make a couple moves on my roster, I would bona fide have the big three that I once had before. Another destination spot. Neg me if you want. Orlando Magic, with all the success that they're having this year from a defensive standpoint. Everyone loves Jonathan Isaac. Like I said, I've said it several times. Jonathan Isaac is not a bad player, but he's also not a superstar. He's not Kevin Durant. Okay? He's a solid player. I really like him. Could be an all-star 1 year. Not a multiple-year all-star, in my opinion. He can prove me wrong, okay? But you know what? I'm gonna give him a lot of props here. What if I said a combination of Jonathan Isaac could be a combination of Chris Middleton, and again, he has nowhere near that same game or offensive game inside, okay? But he's getting better and better every year. And I can't really call it because he's so long. He's so long, okay? And defensive minded. There's several players. Chris Middleton how about this? Chris Middleton with Greek Freak mix at a much lower level, okay? That's Jonathan Isaac, okay? Poor man's version of both of those guys combined. He can do both of those things, but he's not all-star to me, okay? A lot of players still say he is. He's not. They need help. And Aaron Gordon Jr., to me, is the more bona fide star. Bring in Dennis Smith Jr., Orlando Magic. I'm talking to you. What's up? How you doing? Does anyone want Julius Randle's contract? I don't know what role he plays. He's difficult to assess. He's difficult to put in a situation. I'm going to leave it at that. I think Elfrid Payton is the guy on that team that you look at. Next up, let's go into it, man. Cleveland Cavaliers. Next up, we got a team full of young guys, but some old guys. Tristan Thompson's there, right? Brandon Knight is there. And the guy that's most coveted by this team is Kevin Love. So you're looking at Kevin Love as the guy that everybody's possibly looking at as a contender for this team, a guy that they want to play. And he, right now, is on a situation that he doesn't want to be in, playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So you got to talk about Kevin Love and where does he go? Okay? He's actually made a promotion to Portland. I've heard that he wants to go to Portland. Will that happen? I don't know. But that's a position for him to look at. That's a position for him to look at. Okay? Also on this team, believe it or not, I don't know how Larry Nance is still listed at 6'7". I don't know how. Okay, looks 6'10" at least. Larry Nance Jr. is another guy. It's another guy that you got to look at. He's another guy. Pretty good talent. He's also gained some range. They have a slew of power forwards on his team that could be helpful to a lot of teams. So I like Larry Nance Jr. I like Kevin Love. And I think that's about as far as you can go. Tristan Thompson is another guy if you need a big guy inside. Again, just to fill, Tristan Thompson to Boston, I don't see that as a bad move. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't see Tristan Thompson to Boston in some capacity to get a little bit more height for the playoffs. He plays center. I don't think that's a bad move. Can they grab him? We shall see. But again, the analysis continues. I think Kevin Love is the most lovely talent in the East that everyone can get, and everyone's kind of clamoring, how do I fit him into my offense in my gameplay? Okay? Next up, you know how long this is going to be, baby. Atlanta Hawks. I'm just going to do the East first, right? Atlanta Hawks. Who on here is available? Who could they possibly get, all right? It's a big question mark for me. I'm not sure. I mean, I told you I love Jabari Parker. They lost John Collins to a suspension, But what about the mid-tier guys? Is DeAndre Bembry a pretty good glue guy? Is he another guy that has to make a move, bust a move to allow for the young talent to grow as they're not winning the championship this year and more than likely not going to make the playoffs, even though I can't make that comment in the East. Like I said, as sorry as that is, I can't really make that comment and be confident with that statement because you never know in the East. But however, DeAndre Bembry is another player. Where does he go, right? Allen Crabbe is playing sparingly. Okay, Jabari Parker is a bona fide all-star. How about that? How about those apples? Can you move those guys? I mean, could you move, Iwuendo? I always talked about Iwuendo. Could you move him to the, could you move him over to the Atlanta, what do you call it? To the Orlando Magic? I mean, seriously, could you make that move? That's the question mark. You got to ask yourself, is he worth it? There's a couple guys on the Magic who I think on the bench side that, they could improve the position, get a little bit more deadly. And I think, Mr. Bembry could be a guy that teams may want to make a trade for, okay? He's a legit talent. I like what I see from him. A glut at shooting guard as well. Is Kevin Huerter actually available with Hunter and Mr. Cameron Reddish playing? Is Cam Reddish available? I'm not sure I'm seeing enough from Cam Reddish. Showing the same tendencies he showed on Duke, even though I'm very high on likelihood of his talent emerging. Had a couple of good plays, enough for me to keep him. But Jabari Parker is just that guy right now. He's at his prime. Even Evan Turner, he's somebody that you look to with such a glut of young talent. Again, a lot of talking points here. Atlanta, for me, is Jabari Parker or Bembry are the talents you target. Let's go to the next team. Washington. Washington has really not much that I would want to chase. And I don't know if they were willing to move anybody right now. They know they're rebuilding. Is Ian Mahinmi available from a center position? Could you make a small trade there? Maybe, right? Maybe. All right, who else is there? Is Isaiah Thomas unhappy with the losing situation? I don't think you can move him anywhere, but he's having a pretty good season playing his role there. Not much to talk about on Washington. My last team on the East before I get into the gym, I'm headed to work out. I'm not going to stop here. I got to at least get to Detroit. The Bulls, I think they're in a playoff hunt, and I don't know if they're going to make any trades, but there's one guy, Chris Dunn is out there, right? Chris Dunn is out there. Will somebody try to make a move for Chris Dunn? get a bigger. Hey, this is another guy for Philly. He'd be I don't know if he'd be an upgrade. I think Philly has to go for an all-for-broke all-star. I think that's Dennis Smith Jr. I don't think Chris Dunn is that. But could some team use Chris Dunn as a backup point guard? I'm not sure. I think maybe that's somewhere they need to look at. All right. Thomas Satoransky's tremendous season. Another big, tall bench player. Could somebody grab him? I'm not sure there's any moves that are going to be made with the Bulls. I think they hold steady, but those are two guys that somebody may want to pinch and take away to improve their roster. Last up, again, I just want to get into the teams that are on the losing spout, but these teams are really too close to the playoffs. They're not utilizing Jordan Bone. They're not playing any of these guys, Sequoia Doumbouya. A lot of these guys are not playing. Do you move them? Blake Griffin, are you tired of coming in at 8th or 7th place? Do you move him? So Blake Griffin is another guy. Do you get Blake Griffin moved? That could be another big legitimate prospect. You got to look at the East and see in the West and see who's willing to make that big trade. It's going to cost a lot of dollars. It's going to move a lot of salary caps. But you got to take a look at that on the East Coast. So Off-World Sports, man, I think those are the guys that you look at. Reggie Jackson is another one as well. Does he get moved somewhere? Does somebody pick up Reggie? He's going to come off the injury and be able to play. Those are, three guys. Dennis Smith Jr., I mentioned, again, those are a couple guys on the lower ends of the roster that you got to start to play chess here and put your hands in play and see what you need. Philadelphia needs it the most. Boston needs a big man. Miami Heat, I don't know, man. Just a little improvements they can make. I don't know if they need to make any trades right now. I would like to see another big on Miami, but again, pretty nice look at where we're headed. For February, the trade talks are starting to come about. Kevin Love is the prize. Maybe Blake Griffin is the second prize. And then Dennis Smith Jr., if he's available, will be the third prize. Let's see where they move. East Coast summary of what's going to happen in these trade deadlines. Off-World Sports, I'm signing off. Peace. Man, nigga.